Hey, Carpal Tunney!
Carpal Tunney! Long time, you guys. Wow.
Long ass time. Got my beer in hand, got my slippers on, nice and warm. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. I got my wine in hand, my jewel in the other hand, and I'm wearing a nice parachute robe. So I am ready to talk about dating. So something that me and Joel have been talking about a lot recently is texting etiquette specifically in dating. Whose job is it to text first? Is there a gendered aspect to texting and dating? Should the girl text first ever? When is it appropriate for the girl to text first? Does it even matter? Should the guy always text after the first date, even if he doesn't want to go on a second date? This is just something that we've been talking about a lot as I've recently been going on a lot of, first and second and third dates, and I'm just kind of like, do I text them? Do I not text them? Do I wait? I would like to add, we're in retrograde. Mercury is in retrograde. Communication is difficult right now. Stars are against you. And dating is all about texting. And texting isn't really who you are, like if you don't see someone for a couple weeks and all you have to go off of is your text, that's scary.
I think it's even spookier right now since this month's retrograde started on Halloween.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes for one frightening retrograde.
We should all be,
I'm already
be on your
nervous.
tippy toes. So, I don't know, Joel, why don't we start off with, we were just talking about this. We were literally just having a conversation about how you always text after the date. Even if you don't intend on going on a second date or you weren't really feeling it, you'll do it to be nice. What's your rationale behind that? Do you think that maybe it's more effective to just not text someone if you don't want to see them again?
Well, I think that for me, the reason why I text is twofold. I think half of it is because I like to think I am generally a fairly good person, and I think that that's just part of human etiquette is to text back for giving you some of their time. Time is precious,
Yeah, but you're already paying for the date. You're already I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you think it
goes beyond the money, though.
Well,
it goes beyond the money.
That was a bad point. I guess, do you think that it's maybe wasting their time or confusing them
a
little
bit?
bit?
Let me get to the second part of why I like to text no matter what. Oftentimes, right after the date, you have what I like to call a glow phase, where no matter how the date went, you just kind of have like a positive mindset of the person that you were just with. And you kind of need some time to take a step back and figure out what you actually thought of that date. And that rarely happens within the first 24 hours. So I think that sending that text, I like to do it within 3 hours of that date. Just sort of give you some time to think it through a little bit more, see what you really want, and then see how their response back to you is. That can definitely play into how you feel like the date went and how you guys will connect in the future.
That's smart. Yeah, because that way you're not closing any doors. You don't really know how you feel after the date, but you're kind of acknowledging, okay, I had a good time. Now we can see where it goes from here. So,
right, and even if you didn't have a good time, it's still nice to just thank them for their time.
That is so unlike my experiences. So do you think that the guy should always initiate this text? When a girl sends you this text before you send this text, how does that make you feel?
I just think that there is a sort of gender aspect in this, in that if I send the text first, it makes me feel like I am putting in effort in order to attract the person that I'm interested in. And that, to me, is an important biological thing, where it's like if you're meeting someone for the first time off Tinder or whatever app you're using, or from an introduction through a friend, a blind date, whatever it is, I think that it's important to be that first one to initiate afterwards. I think from a biological man perspective. But there's many different angles I can take. Hold on. But if it's someone that I was previously friends with, and I previously had known, then it gets there's a little more gray area, and either person can initiate afterwards because there's sort of a friendly connection there, and you're not trying to instigate that. Your instigation in that instance is you instigated the date. You got this person to go on a date with you. So after that, it's friendly again. You know, you don't want to make that situation awkward by ignoring them.
What about after the first 3 dates? Do you think that after the first 3 dates, the guy should still be texting first, or do you think at that point it's a little bit more fluid?
I think that's more of a connection thing. That's something that you got to feel out with the person that you're going out with.
Okay. Interesting. So
I think that the first date, if it's the first time meeting them, 100% of the time, in my opinion, it should be the guy messaging first.
Agreed.
And then trying to set up that next occasion or that next date or that next whatever you plan on doing. With that said, I think that depending on the connection after the second date, I think it's completely fair for the opposite individual to message you first.
Yeah, because we've also been talking a lot about, like, give and take in terms of how much do you think the guy should be putting in all the effort in the early stages of a relationship versus how much do you think it should be shared? Do you ever expect a girl to text you first during the first 3 months of dating?
Expectation is a kind of a strong word. For me, I'm kind of lazy, so I appreciate when the girl messages me first, but biologically that doesn't work out in my opinion. I think that a man has to feel like they're working for you in order for them to develop some sort of feelings and to make it serious. If you're not that into them though, I think that if your goal from it is just to have sex or just to date around, I don't think it really matters. Like if you're not really that into that person, but you want to just continuously see them for other for other reasons, then honestly, throw everything out the window. I think you should have a goal with each person that you're trying to be with, and then from there you can plan accordingly. But if it's someone that you actually want to court, then I would say the guy messages first, ask you on the second date, and then after the second date, preferably that individual would message first, but at the same time, there's more of a gray area. Whereas if you only want sex, then it doesn't fucking matter what you do, because you're not trying to develop that connection with them. You're just trying to develop something physical.
Got it. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. This has been very enlightening to think about it from this perspective. I've definitely noticed that as I've been dating more for less physical reasons, I've noticed that you usually let the guy drive because I can tell that it's what they want to do, or I can tell that they know that they're going to initiate if they want to, and I think both parties typically know that. So even though gender norms have come a far way, in my mind I'm always thinking, well, we both know that this is how it usually works, and so why don't we just let it go that way? And every guy is different. Listeners, some guys will text you within 3 hours. Some will wait. I've had guys who have been pretty into me that have waited 5 days before they've texted me.
Right.
I've had guys wait 4 days. I've had guys wait 3 days. If they wait over a week and a half, it's typically that they're just looking for something physical. But within a week and a half, I think you're kind of good, especially early on. But I've definitely noticed that in the very early stages, it usually behooves you to just be patient and see if they text you. But, I think also as the relationship progresses, both parties need to be making an effort. So
I think that a lot of yours and mine advice and what we talk about has been steering towards meeting someone for the first time. So that's generally our podcast direction.
Exactly.
However, I still have many opinions on if you met someone like through work or through a friend or through a friend. It's similar to meeting someone for the first time, that's a little different. But I mean, if you're already friends with somebody.
Yeah, I think in those situations it's a pretty similar pattern, and we can get into that in another episode because we're approaching our mark. But I think typically what I've noticed is even when you meet someone in real life and that you've known them for a while, not necessarily just work, but you know, you have a similar friend group, hung out a few times in a group setting.
To me, that's still those examples would still be as if you're hanging out with them for the first time. I'm talking specifically about someone that you either already communicate with on the regular, so like whether that be at work, or someone that you're already friends with that you're trying to get more physical with.
We should definitely do a take or an episode on that, but I think in terms of meeting someone online, meeting someone you don't know that well, this seems to be the pattern that both you and I have experienced, which is fine. You know, sometimes it's a little bit, in some ways I like it because it seems to me as though everyone knows about it. So it's nice because I'm pretty much like, if a guy is interested, he just will text me. If he's a little bit scared, he might take longer to do it. Or if he's not entirely sure, he might take longer to do it. But typically, if they're interested, they just will text you.
Here's another recommendation for a girl. Always, if you're into a guy, if you like the way the date went, always, especially after the first date, be the last one to message them. So you don't want to make the guy double think themselves. So what you want to do is you want your text to always be at the end. Even if it's like okay or like sounds good, something like that. You always want your message at the end. And you want to be the last one to because otherwise the guy is going to think that you're just not that into them. And at the beginning, you kind of want to be show interest but not be over the top. So that's why you don't want to ask them for the next date, but you also want to show that the date went well, that you enjoyed their company.
I've done that. Where I'll just send an emoji, you know, where the conversation ended, and I'll just send an emoji because that way what I'm basically saying in that kind of a situation is you can pick up the conversation when you're ready.
Right, exactly.
So I'm basically letting them know, okay, this is my way of saying, look, I'm down. Here I am. Let me know if you want to hang out again. Whereas I've also noticed that sometimes if you just like their text or you just love it, sometimes it might come off a little bit standoffish, and then they might take longer to text you. Of course, this is just our experience.
Even a like or a love, if you have nothing else. Honestly, if you want to like the love, send them an emoji thumbs up or an emoji heart. Although I wouldn't necessarily do an emoji heart because that's a little weird, but like a thumbs up, that's a good message. Just make sure that your message is the last one that comes across. I like doing an emoji. Right.
Because it's not desperate. It's, you know, it shows that I think that's so interesting because I've definitely used that strategy before, almost subconsciously. But that's so fascinating because I've definitely done that. But anyways, super interesting to me because I think with dating, communication can be so scary sometimes, and I think it's interesting to think about it from the perspective of, how is the guy thinking about it? And I do think that most guys think about it the way you're thinking about it, honestly.
I think it's not even a guy-girl perspective, it's the perspective of developing attraction, how attraction works.
Yeah, that's so true.
And even in the beginning, you don't want to message someone all the time. You don't want to talk every single day. You honestly don't even want to hang out more than once a week when you're first developing that attraction. You want to be busy, or at least create the image of being busy and not showcasing that they're your world, because that's just going to drive them closer to you. Nothing is sexier than an individual who is independent and confident in themselves and is okay not having you in their lives, or at least portraying that. That's what's going to drive you towards them.
Yeah. Something that we've been talking about a lot, but we'd love to get, your guys' takes on it, your experiences. I'm sure that there are anomalies all the time. I will say, however, every time that a guy has not texted me after the first date within a week, it's never worked out in the long run at all. So food for thought. But maybe some of you have a different experience and it's gone differently. So curious to hear. Do you have, go ahead.
I was just going to end the call by telling our lovely fans and listeners to hit us up, email us. We just got an Instagram. I don't know if you guys have heard, but at Carpal Tunnel Diaries, we will be posting things about dating, love, when our episodes are coming out, memes. It's going to be great. It's fairly new. You guys are going to love it. Subscribe to our channel, please. That helps us out a lot. Like our content. Send us any suggestions, questions, tips. We'd love to talk about you and your experiences, what you disagree, agree, all of it. Let us know. We love interacting with you guys.
Yep.
So.
We'll be back soon. We won't go on a hiatus this long again. We got you. We're back. Stay tuned. All right, guys. Bye.